So for the waistband, make sure you have all 4 of your waistband pieces handy, as well as some clear elastic that you're gonna put along the upper edge of the waistband to just kind of help them stay put on your body. So you should have an outer front waistband on the fold, an inner front waistband on the fold, an outer back waistband on the fold, and an inner back waistband on the fold. All of Greenstyle's waistbands are like this, and I really love them. They're contoured, and there's an outer and an inner so that that seam, when you sew them together at the top, will fold nicely toward the inside and not be visible on the outside. So essentially what you're going to do is you're going to sew, making sure I have the right size of my fabric here. I'm taking the inner back waistband and I'm going to place that right sides together with my inner front waistband. So I'm just going to clip those together at the sides, and then those will go over to the serger or the sewing machine. And remember, you're using a 3/8 inch seam allowance, so you'll sew those together. You want to make sure that the narrowest edges are at the top. So that is the inner. Now I usually do something to mark the fact that it's an inner waistband because they're gonna look very similar. So I just stick a little pin through so that while I'm sewing them together, I can differentiate. So my pin is in my inner waistband. Then you're going to take your outer back waistband and do that same thing. You're gonna put it right sides together with the outer front waistband, making sure that the narrowest part is at the top, and take that over to the sewing machine. Now there is a part on the pattern for adding a zippered welt pocket, and you would want to do that before you sew right now. So if you're wanting to do that welt pocket, I'm not going to do a video on that. If I want a zippered pocket, I'm gonna either usually probably do the compression shorts personally, or I also have a hack for a zippered pocket that I've done. It's a little bit simpler on the Super G waistband that you could definitely use for this as well. So I'll link that if you wanted to do that. If you do want to follow the pattern and put in your zippered welt pocket, go for it. It's an awesome add-on if you want a back pocket and you don't want to follow the other hack that I mentioned. So make sure that you've done that first, but otherwise, let's go ahead and go over to the machine and sew these 4 seams, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what that looks like and do the next step. So I've got those 4 seams sewn, and I've made sure that I've placed them so that the bottom's at the bottom and the top's at the top. Now, if you forgot to mark and you're not sure which one is your inner and your outer, you can always compare them. The inner waistband is going to be not quite as tall, so just keep that in mind. But now I'm going to go ahead and separate them again. Needed a drink of water there, sorry. So you're going to turn one right sides out. Make sure that you keep track of where the top is. And you're going to slip that into the other that is wrong sides out. And you're going to match up, so they should be right sides together at this point. I like to press one of my seams toward one side and the other toward the other side to reduce bulk. And this is going to make a big difference if you're planning on top stitching the waistband. So I'm just going to clip and or pin them all the way around and sew them together along the top. Make sure that if you did put a pin in here that you remove it. One time on one of my leggings, I did not remove it, and I was like, what is poking me? What is in these things? Turned out to be the pin that I hadn't taken out, and it's always a pain to seam rip your waistband. So take it out now. If you use that, some people use a piece of tape to mark it too. That's another way you can do it. So once they're all pinned together around the top, I serge them together, and then I add in my clear elastic. And I will add in an extra video on my blog post. You really want to be checking out those blog posts because I give a lot of extra information in there that I just can't fit in here. So I like to serge mine and then go through and add the clear elastic at a 1-to-1 ratio. You're not stretching it at all. The clear elastic makes a big difference. Whenever someone says, my leggings are falling down, my first question is always, did you add the clear elastic? Now sometimes you need to do extra grading here. You can try the waistband on after it's sewn together like this and see if you feel like it's gonna fit you correctly. If it's not, then I would go ahead, you know, and tighten up some of these seams at this point. It's easier to do now than later. You might have to just seam rip a little bit at the top if you've already sewn them together. But I'm gonna go over to my serger, I'm gonna sew along the top, add in that clear elastic, and then we'll flip it right sides out and be ready to attach it to our shorts. So I serged my waistband together at the top, and then I flipped it to the inside so that they're wrong sides together. And you can see how if you line them up at the bottom, that seam kind of rolls toward the inside, and that's because of the way that the waistbands were cut. So I usually give that a few clips around here just to kind of get it ready. And then you're going to be ready to attach it to your Moxis. Now keep in mind, I always like to make sure that these remain pressed in the direction that they were sewn. So that just makes for less bulk. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that as I'm flipping it around here. I'm down to just big clips. So like the smaller ones better, but okay. Now, there's your waistband. The front is going to have those two seams, so this is the front. You're going to take your Moxi shorts, and if you were using the compression shorts, let me grab mine real quick. If you're using the compression shorts or the briefs, now is the time to, if you have not already, to throw them in there. So you want the right side of the briefs or the shorts to be touching the wrong side of the Moxis. So you're gonna throw those in there. You can baste along the edge if you want, or you can just clip or pin really well. So you're gonna do that. And then take your waistband, flip it so that the right side of the waistband is touching the right side of the shorts. Again, line up those seams. Clip that on, making sure that the seam of the Moxis remains pressed toward the back. Seam on the other side. You may need to give it a little bit of stretch, especially if you graded smaller for your waistband. That's okay, but there shouldn't be a ton of stretching necessary here. And you can just match that up all the way around. And then we're gonna go ahead and stitch or serge this on. I think I'm gonna be using a serger, so you can definitely do that, or if you prefer to sew it. Now this is a spot that's going to stretch, so you want to make sure you do it with a zigzag or a lightning bolt stitch or a stretch stitch. You don't want to use a straight stitch at that part. So go ahead and sew those on, and then we can bring them back to the table and see what they look like all constructed. This is our last step, so it's very exciting. So I actually had a last minute change of heart and decided not to include the compression shorts. I think I'm going to put a separate waistband on those and make them into their own pair of shorts, just because it is so hot outside right now. But you're all done with your Moxi shorts. So this is what they should look like. If you have an inner brief or compression short, that would be in there as well. You've got the waistband all sewn on. Something to mention is, as much as you can, you know, line up your waistband and your short seams, because I think it just looks nice that way. But then you are all finished. So congratulations. Thank you so much for joining me. This was a great time, and I hope all of you guys ended up with some new pairs of shorts to wear. I know I'm going to get cutting into some more fabric and make myself another pair as soon as I can. So I'm super excited about these, and it's definitely what my wardrobe needs right now. So let me know. Post pictures of your finished shorts for sure. Remember, we have some prizes, a fabric prize and a pattern prize that you can win. So, you know, post some pictures of your finished shorts. If you have any questions, let me know. And remember, if you need a few days to catch up, I'll definitely be giving you a couple of days before I draw some winners. So probably the length of the weekend, essentially. So let me know how it's going, and let's encourage each other. I can't wait to see what you guys have made. Thank you for joining along. Okay, well, that's it. Congratulations on finishing your Moxi shorts. They should look like this in the front and this in the back, more or less. And you've done a great job. So this is a lily tank that I made to wear with my Moxi shorts, and I'll be sharing a separate tutorial on how to do the binding really nicely. I was able to get a really nice finish with that binding, so I'm going to share that technique with you so you can make yourself something to go with your Moxis if you want to. The Express and the tie-back tank are also great options, and I have sew-alongs for those on my blog, sewingwithsarah.com, as well. If you look at the top under the Sew Along tab, you'll find them there. They're also on my YouTube channel, so you can, I'd love to have you follow me on my blog and on YouTube. And just kind of share what you've made. So congratulations on finishing your Moxis. Please post your finished items. I'll have a separate post in the group if you're joining me, kind of have been following along this week. I'll have a post in the Fabric Fairy group where you'll post your finished items, and that will enter you to win one of our pattern prizes or our fabric prize. So I hope to see everything that you've made. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you need to catch up, I have all of the previous videos linked on my blog and on YouTube. So if you need a few days to catch up over the weekend, you certainly have that time before I'm going to choose winners. And if you're joining me later on, several months down the road, I'm still available, still definitely open to responding to comments on my blog or tagging me on Facebook, and I'd be happy to help you sew your first pair of Moxi shorts. So thanks for joining along, and I'll see you soon.